The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was huge. Hundreds of alien beings sat in their seats, looking down at the human who stood in the center. Admiral Kane looked small compared to the giant blue creatures from Valdar and the bug-like aliens from the Krex worlds. But when he started to speak, everyone became quiet. 3 years ago, something happened on a planet called Red Rock, Kane said. His voice was calm but strong. Our enemies had big ships in space. They had laser guns and force shields. They had 50,000 soldiers. We had only 300 humans. The aliens moved in their seats. Some of them had been there during that battle. They remembered what happened, and it still scared them. Kane walked slowly as he talked. The enemy thought they would win in one day. They had better weapons than US. They had more soldiers than us. Their computers could aim better than any living thing. But they made one big mistake. A tall alien with purple skin raised his hand. What mistake did they make? Kane smiled, but it was not a happy smile. They forgot that humans have been hunters for millions of years. They forgot that we know how to wait, how to watch, and how to kill from very far away. The story of Red Rock had spread through the galaxy like fire. Every alien military leader knew about it. Some said it was just luck. Others said humans had secret weapons. But the truth was much simpler and much more frightening. On Red Rock, we had 12 snipers, Kane continued. Just 12 humans with rifles. These 12 people stopped an entire army for 6 days. They did not use magic. They did not use super weapons. They used skill that humans have been learning for thousands of years. One of the bug-like Krex aliens clicked his mouthparts together. His people had lost many soldiers on Red Rock. They never saw who was shooting at them. Soldiers would just fall down dead, shot from so far away that the sound of the gun came seconds later. Kane pointed to a big screen that showed pictures from the battle. Lieutenant Ross was 19 years old. He had been a sniper for only 2 years. On the first day of fighting, he killed an enemy general from 2 kilometers away. The enemy could not believe it was possible. The aliens looked at the pictures. With fear, they saw human soldiers lying perfectly still in the rocks and dirt. Some had been in the same place for days, not moving, barely breathing. To the aliens, this looked impossible. Their own soldiers could not stay still for even 1 hour without getting bored or scared. Sergeant Mills killed 43 enemies in 5 days, Kane said. He never missed a shot. He would wait for hours to get the perfect chance. One time he waited 8 hours for an enemy officer to walk past a small gap between 2 buildings. The shot took less than a second, but Mills had been planning it all day. The purple alien leader stood up. How is this possible? Our best shooters cannot hit targets at such distances. Our computers say it cannot be done. Kane nodded. That is because you think like machines. Humans think like hunters. We do not. Just aim and shoot. We study our target for days. We learn when they eat, when they sleep, when they feel safe. We become part of the ground, part of the rocks, part of the shadows. The screen showed more pictures. Human snipers covered in special cloth that made them look like plants or rocks. They had painted their faces with mud and leaves. Some of them had not moved for so long that real plants had started growing on their clothes. Captain Blake killed. The enemy commander on day 4, Kane continued. The commander was hiding in a building with thick walls. He had 20 guards around him, but Blake had been watching for 3 days. He knew that every morning at sunrise, the commander would look out of one small window for exactly 10 seconds. The aliens became very quiet. They understood now why their armies were so afraid of human snipers. It was not just about shooting far away. It was about becoming invisible death that could wait forever. The enemy on Red Rock had good soldiers, Kane said. They were brave and strong. But after 2 days of fighting invisible humans, they started to break. Soldiers would not leave their hiding places. Officers would not give orders from anywhere that could be seen. The whole army became too scared to fight. A small alien with big eyes asked, "How many humans died in this battle?" Kane's face became sad. "We lost 7 people. 7 humans against 50,000 enemies. But those 7 people saved the planet and showed the galaxy something important." The room was completely silent now. Every alien was thinking about what this meant for their own armies, their own planets, their own wars. The enemy tried everything to stop our snipers, Kane explained. They used heat sensors to find body warmth. They used sound detectors to hear heartbeats. They even brought special robots to hunt for hidden humans. Nothing worked. He showed pictures of the enemy's failed attempts. Broken robots that had been destroyed by single shots from kilometers away. Sensor equipment that had been shot so precisely that it stopped working but looked undamaged. Every piece of technology they tried to use against human snipers had been turned into useless metal. On the last day, the enemy leader sent a message to our commander, Kane said. He wanted to surrender. An army of 50,000 alien soldiers surrendered to 300 humans because they could not fight ghosts who killed from the shadows. The story was over, but the fear in the room was just beginning. Every alien leader was now thinking about human snipers. They imagined invisible humans watching their own planets, their own armies, their own lives through rifle scopes from distances they could not imagine. This is why we are here today, Kane finished. Not to threaten anyone, but to explain why human space is now safe. Every alien military in the galaxy has heard the story of Red Rock. They know that attacking humans means facing an enemy that can kill their leaders from distances that seem impossible. The aliens looked at each other with worried faces. They had always thought of humans as weak newcomers to the galaxy. Small people with simple weapons and no special powers. Now they understood that humans were something much more dangerous. They were patient predators who had turned war into an art of invisible death. Kane stepped back and waited for questions. He knew that this meeting would change everything. After today, every alien military would have to change how they fought. Wars. They would have to plan for an enemy that could kill anyone, anywhere, at any time, from distances beyond their imagination. The reputation of human snipers was born on Red Rock, but it would grow to cover the entire galaxy like a shadow. That never went away. Captain Reed had not moved for 16 hours. He lay flat on his belly in the ruins of an old factory, covered in cloth that made him look like broken concrete and rusty metal. His rifle pointed toward a building 3.5 kilometers away. Most aliens would think this distance was impossible for accurate shooting, but Reed was human. This was the Battle of Iron Valley, where the Helix Empire learned why they should fear human snipers. The Helix had the best technology in this part of the galaxy. Their energy shields could stop laser blasts and explosive rockets. Their armor was made from materials stronger than diamond. Their computers could predict where enemies would move before they moved, but the Helix did not understand human patience. Reed breathed so slowly that alien sensors could not detect him. His heart beat only 40 times per minute, much slower than normal. He had trained his body to work like a machine, using less energy and making less heat. To any watching alien, he looked like another piece of dead metal in the ruins. Through his rifle scope, Reed watched enemy officers walk around in what they thought was a safe place. The Helix commanders wore the finest armor their scientists could make. They carried personal shield generators that could stop bullets moving faster. Then sound. They had bodyguards with weapons that could destroy buildings. They felt completely safe. The Helix had learned about human snipers from reports about Red Rock, but they thought they could solve the problem with better technology. They brought heat detectors that could see a mouse from 5 kilometers away. They brought sound sensors that could hear a pin drop in a thunderstorm. They brought motion detectors that could spot a leaf falling from a tree. None of it worked against humans who had been hunting for millions of years. Reed's target was General Vex, the alien who had ordered attacks on human settlements. Vex was responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people. Women, children, old people who could not fight back. The general thought his technology made him untouchable. He was wrong. Reed had been studying Vex for 5 days before taking his position. He knew the general woke up at the same time every morning. He knew Vex liked to drink hot liquid from his home planet at exactly noon. He knew the general always checked the eastern wall of his building at sunset because he was worried about human attacks. The human sniper had done something no Helix computer could understand. He had learned to think like his target. He knew Vex's fears, his habits, his weaknesses. This was not just shooting. This was hunting the way humans had always hunted. Other human snipers were scattered around the valley. Miller was hidden in a pile of rocks 2 kilometers to the north. Jackson had dug himself into a hill and covered the hole so well that it looked like natural ground. Williams was inside the skeleton of a burned building, invisible among the shadows and debris. Each human had been in position for days. They had cold food that had no smell. They drank water through tubes so they did not have to move. When they needed to use the bathroom, they did it in special bags without changing position. The Helix could not imagine such discipline. "Control, this is Reed," he whispered into his radio so quietly that only another human could hear. "Target is moving to the east window. Preparing for engagement." The other snipers confirmed they were ready. This was not about one shot. This was about destroying the entire Helix command structure in Iron Valley at the same time. Humans did not just fight. They planned. Reed watched Vex walk toward the window. The general's armor was perfect. His personal shield was working. 12 bodyguards surrounded him with weapons ready. The building's defensive systems were active and scanning for threats. None of it mattered. Reed had calculated everything. The wind speed and direction, the rotation of the planet, the gravity field that was slightly different from Earth normal, the temperature of the air that would affect how his bullet traveled. His rifle was aimed not at where Vex was, but at where Vex would be in exactly 2.3 seconds. The shot was perfect. The bullet left Reed's rifle at 3 times the speed of sound. It was made of special metal that could punch through Helix armor. The bullet traveled through the air for almost 4 seconds, dropping exactly as Reed had calculated, curving slightly with the wind, following the path of physics like a messenger of death. It found the one tiny gap between Vex's helmet and chest armor. The gap was only 2 millimeters wide, but Reed had aimed for that exact spot from over 3 kilometers away. The bullet killed the general instantly. At the same moment, 3 other human snipers fired. 3 other Helix commanders died in the same second. The entire enemy leadership was destroyed before anyone knew they were under attack. The psychological effect was immediate and terrible. Helix soldiers had been told their commanders were protected by the best technology in the galaxy. They had been told humans were primitive creatures with simple weapons. They had been told their armor and shields made them safe from any attack. Now 4 of their most important leaders were dead, killed by invisible enemies from impossible distances. Panic spread through the Helix army like a virus. Soldiers refused to leave their bunkers. Officers would not give orders from any place that could be seen. Some aliens tried to surrender, but they could not find any humans to surrender. The snipers had vanished like ghosts. Reed had already moved from his position. He crawled through the ruins like a snake, invisible and silent. By the time Helix soldiers reached his old hiding spot, he was half a kilometer away, setting up for his next shot. This was how humans had always fought. Not with overwhelming force or superior technology, but with patience, planning, and the ability to kill from the shadows. Every human sniper was a complete weapon system that could think, adapt, and hunt. The Battle of Iron Valley lasted 3 more days, but the war was already over. The Helix Empire could not fight an enemy they could not see, could not predict, and could not stop. Their advanced technology was useless against opponents who had turned invisible killing into an art form. When the Helix finally retreated from Iron Valley, they left behind more than just a defeated army. They left behind their confidence, their belief in their own superiority, and their willingness to fight humans. The news spread across the galaxy faster than the speed of light. The Helix Empire, with all their advanced technology and powerful weapons, had been defeated by human snipers they never saw. Fear of human marksmen was no longer just a story from Red Rock. It was a new reality that every alien military would have to accept. Dr. Morgan stood in front of a huge room filled with alien military leaders. Above her head, a giant screen showed numbers and pictures that made the aliens very uncomfortable. These were the statistics of human sniper kills, and the numbers seemed impossible to believe. The longest confirmed human sniper kill happened at a distance of 4.2 kilometers. Dr. Morgan said, pointing at the screen. This shot was made on Earth in normal gravity and thick air. On planets with less gravity and thinner air, our snipers regularly kill targets at distances over 7 kilometers. A tall blue alien from the Valdari Empire raised his hand. Our scientists have studied these claims. Our computers say such shots are impossible. The bullet would drop too much. The wind would push it off course. No living creature could make such calculations. Dr. Morgan smiled. That is because you think shooting is about mathematics. For humans, shooting is about instinct. We have been throwing rocks and spears at moving targets for 2 million years. Our brains are built for this kind of work. The screen changed to show a map of human battles across the galaxy. Red dots marked every confirmed sniper kill. There were thousands of them, scattered across dozens of star systems. Each dot represented an enemy leader, officer, or specialist killed by a single precise shot. Look at this pattern, Dr. Morgan said, using a pointer to highlight clusters of red dots. These kills are not random. Human snipers do not just shoot at any target. They choose the most important enemies. They study their targets for days or weeks before taking a shot. An insect-like alien from the Krex worlds clicked his mouthparts nervously. How do they choose these targets? How do they know who is important? Humans are natural hunters, Dr. Morgan explained. We watch how groups behave. We see which individuals others follow. We notice who gives orders and who takes them. We can identify leaders just by watching body language and social patterns. The screen showed video footage from various battles. In each clip, human snipers had killed the exact alien who was most important to the enemy's success. Sometimes it was the commanding general. Sometimes it was the technical expert who operated critical equipment. Sometimes it was the communications officer who coordinated different units. This is not luck, Dr. Morgan continued. This is pattern recognition that humans developed over millions of years of hunting in groups. We know how to identify the most dangerous member of any pack. A purple alien with 4 arms stood up, but the distances. How can any organic brain calculate trajectory over such ranges? Dr. Morgan touched a control, and the screen showed a slow-motion video of a human sniper taking a shot. Watch his breathing. See how he waits for the exact moment between heartbeats when his body is perfectly still. Notice how he adjusts for wind by watching grass and dust 3 kilometers away. The aliens watched in amazement as the human sniper made tiny adjustments to his aim, compensating for factors their own computers struggled to measure. The shot, when it came, seemed effortless, but every alien in the room could see the incredible skill required. Human snipers do not think in numbers, Dr. Morgan said. They think in pictures and feelings. They imagine the path their bullet will take. They feel the wind on their skin and know how it will affect their shot. This is not calculation. This is art. The screen displayed brain scans of human snipers during training. The areas that controlled spatial awareness, pattern recognition, and fine motor control were much more developed than in normal humans. These people had been born with natural talent and then trained that talent to an incredible level. A human sniper can control territory the size of a small city, Dr. Morgan explained. One person with one rifle can make an entire area too dangerous for enemy forces to use. They create what we call zones of death, where any movement means certain killing. The psychological reports were even more frightening than the kill statistics. Alien soldiers who had faced human snipers showed symptoms that doctors had never seen before. They became afraid to move during daylight. They refused to stand near windows or open areas. Some developed shaking fits when they heard loud noises. Your soldiers fight wars of movement and technology, Dr. Morgan told the assembled aliens. They expect to see their enemies. They expect battles to be fast and loud. Human snipers create a different kind of war. A war where death comes silently. From empty air, a small alien with large eyes spoke up. How do we defend against such attacks? What technology can stop these human snipers? Dr. Morgan shook her head. That is the wrong question. You cannot stop human snipers with technology because they do not fight like machines. They fight like living creatures who have evolved to kill other living creatures. The screen showed various alien attempts to counter human snipers. Heat sensors that could not detect humans who controlled their body temperature. Sound detectors that could not hear people who barely breathed. Motion. Sensors that could not spot hunters who moved like flowing water. Every defense you create, humans will find a way around, Dr. Morgan said. Not because they are smarter than your computers, but because they think differently. They adapt like living things, not like programmed machines. The room became very quiet as the aliens absorbed this information. Many of them had been planning military campaigns against human colonies. Now they were reconsidering those plans. Human snipers changed the mathematics of war, Dr. Morgan continued. Normally, you need many soldiers to defeat many soldiers. But one human sniper can disable an entire enemy unit by killing key personnel. They make large armies useless by removing the people who lead and coordinate them. She showed a battle map from the recent conflict at Omega Station. Here, 3 human snipers stopped an invasion force of 12,000 aliens. They did not kill 12,000 enemies. They killed 37 specific individuals whose deaths caused the entire army to fall apart. The aliens looked at each other with growing fear. They were beginning to understand that human snipers represented something completely new in galactic warfare. Not better weapons or stronger armor, but a fundamental change in how war could be fought. This is why many alien civilizations now avoid conflict with humans, Dr. Morgan said. Not because humans have the biggest ships or the most powerful weapons, but because humans have turned individual soldiers into strategic weapons that can change the outcome of entire wars. The meeting ended with uncomfortable silence. Every alien military leader in the room was now thinking about human snipers in a completely different way. They were no longer just skilled shooters. They were apex predators who had brought the hunting instincts of ancient Earth into the space age. Lieutenant Brooks moved through the dead city like a shadow with no body. His special suit was covered in pieces of broken concrete, rusty metal, and burned plastic. When he stayed still, even other humans had trouble seeing him. To alien eyes, he was completely invisible. This was the siege of New Terra, where the Nexus Empire learned that owning the sky did not mean winning the war. The Nexus had 50 warships floating above the planet. They had energy weapons that could melt mountains. They had sensors that could count the heartbeats of small animals from orbit. but they could not find the human snipers who were hunting them. Brooks had been tracking his target for 4 days. Commander Thax was the Nexus officer who gave orders to bomb human cities full of innocent people. Women, children, and old people had died because of Thax's commands. Now Brooks was going to make him pay. The alien commander was smart and careful. He never followed the same path twice. He used body doubles who looked exactly like him. He wore armor that could stop bullets from normal weapons. He surrounded himself with the best soldiers the Nexus had. None of it mattered to a human who had been born to hunt. Brooks lay perfectly still in a pile of rubble that had once been a school. He had been in this exact position for 18 hours, watching the Nexus command center through his rifle scope. His breathing was so slow that alien life detectors could not find him. His body temperature was the same as the concrete around him. This was not just hiding. This was becoming part of the environment. The Nexus had tried everything to find human snipers. They used heat vision that could see a mouse in a snowstorm. They used sound detectors that could hear a pin drop on a battlefield. They used motion sensors that could spot a leaf falling from a tree. They used chemical sniffers that could detect human scent from kilometers away. Human snipers defeated all of these systems with patience and skill that seemed impossible to alien minds. Through his scope, Brooks studied every detail of the enemy base. He knew which guards changed shifts at what times. He knew when the power generators cycled their energy output. He knew the exact moment each day when the defensive shields had to reset their frequency patterns. Most importantly, he knew that Commander Thax always checked the northern window at exactly sunset, because he was paranoid about attacks from that direction. Thax never looked south. Where Brooks was waiting. Other human snipers were positioned around the city. Anderson was buried in a crater that had been made by Nexus bombs. The crater looked empty, but Anderson had dug a hide so perfect that Nexus soldiers had walked directly over him without knowing. Martinez was inside the remains of a water tower, covered in rust and bird droppings that made him smell like old metal. Each human had been in position for days, eating food that had no smell and drinking water that left no trace. They used the bathroom in special bags that kept odors contained. When alien patrols came close, the humans simply stopped breathing and became statues. "Ghost 1, this is Ghost 3, Anderson whispered into his radio. His voice was so quiet that only human ears could hear it. "Target vehicle approaching your sector." Brooks watched as an armored transport moved toward the command center. These vehicles were designed to protect important Nexus officers from human sniper attacks. They had thick armor, energy shields, and no windows. The aliens thought they were safe inside. They were wrong. Brooks had studied these transports for weeks. He knew they had one small weakness. When the vehicle stopped, the driver had to open a tiny slot to verify his identity with base security. That slot was open for exactly 3 seconds. 3 seconds was more than enough time for a human sniper. The transport stopped at the checkpoint. Brooks aimed at the tiny opening, calculating the angle, distance, and timing. He knew the bullet would have to travel through the slot, bounce off the inside wall at a specific angle, and hit the passenger seat where Thax always sat. It sounded impossible. For aliens, it was impossible. For humans who had been throwing rocks at small targets for millions of years, it was just very difficult. The slot opened. Brooks fired. The bullet traveled faster than sound, following a path that defied alien understanding of physics. It went through the opening, ricocheted exactly as Brooks had planned, and found its target. Commander Thax died without ever knowing. He was being hunted. The psychological effect was immediate and devastating. Nexus soldiers had watched their commander die inside what they thought was perfect protection. If humans could kill someone inside an armored transport, no one was safe. Fear spread through the alien army like a disease. "All ghost units, targets eliminated," Brooks whispered into his radio. "Time to disappear." The human snipers vanished from their positions like smoke in the wind. By the time Nexus soldiers reached their hiding spots, the humans were gone. Some had crawled through drainage pipes. Others had slipped into buildings through holes too small for alien bodies. All of them had escaped without leaving a trace. This was the Ghost Protocol. Human snipers did not just kill and run. They became invisible, struck without warning, and disappeared before anyone knew they had been there. They were like deadly spirits that haunted the battlefield. The Nexus tried to hunt the humans with their best tracking teams. They brought specialists who could follow trails through solid rock. They used trained animals that could smell fear itself. They employed psychic aliens who could sense thoughts from great distances. Nothing worked. Human snipers seemed to exist in empty space between reality and imagination. Brooks was already 3 kilometers away from his shooting position, moving through underground tunnels that the Nexus did not know existed. He had memorized every sewer, every basement, every hidden passage in the city. When aliens controlled the surface, humans owned the shadows underneath. "Command, this is Ghost Leader," Brooks reported when he reached a safe position. "All primary targets eliminated. Enemy command structure is broken. Recommend immediate ground assault while they are confused." The battle was won, but the war was already over. News of Thax's death spread through the Nexus fleet within hours. If humans could kill their most protected commanders inside armored vehicles, what chance did ordinary soldiers have? Some Nexus units began retreating without orders. Others refused to leave their ships. A few entire battalions simply disappeared into space, abandoning the invasion rather than face invisible death from human snipers. The Ghost Protocol had turned human snipers into something more than soldiers. They had become legends of terror that existed in the nightmares of every alien warrior. Ambassador Collins stood in the same great hall where Admiral Kane had first told the galaxy about human snipers. But now everything was different. The alien representatives no longer looked at humans as weak newcomers. They looked at them with respect and fear. The Human Sniper Corps now has only 2,800 active members, Collins announced to the assembled aliens. These few people have changed how the entire galaxy thinks about war. The numbers on the giant screen behind Collins were shocking. In 5 years of galactic conflict, human snipers had achieved kill ratios that seemed impossible. 1 human sniper for every 300 enemy soldiers eliminated. More importantly, they had prevented wars simply by existing. The blue-skinned Valdari delegate spoke first. "Our military academies now teach entire courses about human sniper tactics. We have redesigned our command structures, our bases, and our entire approach to warfare because of this threat." Similar statements came from aliens across the galaxy. The insect-like Krex had developed new camouflage technology that could hide body heat signatures. The Helix Empire had created mobile command centers that never stayed in one place for more than 10 minutes. The Nexus had changed their policy so that no important officer ever appeared in the same location twice. "Every major alien military has adapted their methods," Collins observed, "but adaptation is not enough. Human snipers continue to improve their skills, their equipment, and their understanding of how to hunt." The screen showed footage from recent conflicts. Human snipers were now killing targets at distances over 8 kilometers on low-gravity worlds. They were using new rifles that could punch through any known armor. They were employing tactics that made them completely invisible to alien detection systems. "We are not just soldiers," Collins said. "We are hunters who have brought millions of years of evolution into space warfare." A small alien with tentacles for arms raised a question. "How many humans could become snipers if you needed more?" Collins smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "On Earth, we have hunting clubs where ordinary people shoot targets at 1 kilometer. For fun, We have competitions where teenagers hit moving objects from distances that your militaries consider impossible. What we call sport, you call superhuman ability." The aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They were beginning to understand that human snipers were not rare specialists. They were examples of what any human could become with proper training. Last month, a human farmer named Tom settled a dispute with raiders who were stealing his crops, Collins continued. Tom had never been a military sniper. He was just a man who hunted animals for food. Using an old hunting rifle, he killed 6 armed raiders from over 2 kilometers away. The story sent chills through the alien audience. If ordinary human farmers could perform feats that their best soldiers could not match, what did that mean for galactic security? Collins showed a map of human space. It was clearly marked with boundaries that every alien fleet avoided. These borders are not protected by massive fleets or powerful weapons. They are protected by the knowledge that human snipers are watching. The psychological effect was more powerful than any physical defense. Alien military commanders knew that entering human space meant risking assassination by invisible enemies. Ship captains refused orders to attack human colonies. Ground troops would not land on planets where human snipers might be waiting. The Battle of Titan Base proved this point, Collins said, showing footage from a recent conflict. Pirates attacked a human mining station with overwhelming force. They had 100 ships and 10,000 warriors. The mining station had 12 security guards. The aliens leaned forward to watch the footage. They knew this story, but seeing it again made them remember why they feared humans. Within 6 hours, all 100 pirate ships had retreated, Collins continued. Not because they were defeated in space combat, but because human snipers on the ground had killed every pirate leader who tried to give orders. The screen showed precision shots that seemed to defy physics. Human snipers firing at targets in orbit, their bullets traveling through atmosphere and striking alien commanders. Through ship windows, pirates trying to coordinate attacks while their officers died one by one from invisible killers. The pirates had better weapons, more ships, and superior numbers, Collins explained. But they could not fight an enemy that killed their leadership faster than they could replace it. A purple alien with multiple eyes stood up. What about peace negotiations? Surely human snipers are not needed during diplomatic talks. Collins nodded toward the back of the hall. Actually, there are 3 human snipers in this room right now. They have been here for the entire meeting, watching and listening. None of you noticed them. Panic spread through the assembled aliens as they looked around desperately, trying to spot the hidden humans. Some aliens activated personal shields. Others called for their bodyguards. All of them realized that they had been completely vulnerable the entire time. "Do not worry," Collins said calmly. "They are here for protection, not assassination. But this demonstrates why human space remains unconquered. We do not just have snipers on battlefields. We have them everywhere." The screen showed statistics from across the galaxy. Trade routes that passed through human space were never attacked by pirates. Diplomatic meetings with human representatives always ended in peaceful agreements. Alien criminals avoided systems where humans lived. "This is the new reality," Collins explained. "Human space is safe not because we threaten anyone, but because everyone knows that attacking humans means facing consequences that cannot be avoided or defended against." A tall alien with silver skin asked, "What happens if other species develop similar sniper capabilities?" Collins shook her head. "You are thinking like engineers again. Human sniper ability is not just about technology or training. It is about evolution. We have been persistence hunters for millions of years. Our brains are literally built for this kind of work." She showed brain scans comparing human and alien neural activity. Human brains processed spatial relationships, distance calculation, and pattern recognition in ways that alien minds could not match. It was not superior intelligence, but specialized evolution. "You can copy our weapons and our techniques," Collins said, "but you cannot copy 2 million years of evolution that shaped human brains for hunting." The meeting was ending, and the message was clear. The galaxy had been permanently changed by human snipers. Wars were now fought differently. Conflicts were avoided rather than risked. Military commanders planned every operation with the knowledge that human marksmen might be watching. The age of large fleet battles and massive ground wars is ending. Collins concluded, "The future belongs to precision, patience, and the ability to eliminate key targets from impossible distances." The aliens left the meeting with new understanding. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through force or technology. They had earned their place through skill that seemed magical to alien minds, but was simply the result of evolution guided by millions of years of hunting.